They made no roster changes through Split 2, or from Split 1 to Split 2, and we're just waiting for that rumored roster god, or gods that we've got.
Yeah, well, we've got champion select on our screen. Aphelios has been first picked. Maybe not to any of our surprise, but Trajan Rude, take it away.
Thank you very much, Hawks. The Aphelios locked in. We'll see Hawks' tweet coming out in just a few seconds, mark my words, as the other things that are important to note for me is the Annie has been banned away by Red. This is something that I personally would have liked to see Fluxo try and get their hands on after they haven't been able to get the most out of House in the mid lane, but Red clearly cottoned onto that. They're not going to allow it. The Vi denied on the jungle is the other side, and Zeri early picked up by Brunse. Now, he's been going back to the Jinx a lot recently, Rude, so this is a bit of a mix-up.
Yeah, Zeri has still been hitting our ban table, and we wanted to touch on the slightly different meta, honestly, that we're seeing Fluxo pilot. We saw Jinx priority over Aphelios from Brunse twice so far. We've seen no Annie in the mid lane for House. This was obviously banned away this game, but previously hadn't been. The same thing for Vi and Wukong. No bans focused to Disarmis for that, but we've never seen him pick those up. Feels a little bit like some of the issues we had with Kaboom, where they just weren't picking the things that were winning games of League of Legends in the CBLOL. Nevertheless, what we know from Fluxo is that Disarmis is always going to have a spicier pick in the jungle than what we maybe have expected. So saving that most likely for the second round and potentially for that fourth pick, because Fluxo still need to lock in a good support to go with this Zeri.
I'm glad that you've called out the spicy picks. We're due to guarantee the Sejuani R3 for us right there. Thanks for locking that one in. There's no way that we ask for spice and they don't give us the absolute mildest pick in the jungle of all time. But Red, they've gone for the Rakan here for Frosty. The Luna was open, and we've already seen the kind of damage this guy can do on a quote-unquote enchanter. But instead, he's gone for this Rakan. So a little bit of a different speed for him, something which still can absolutely be a playmaker. So excited to see what he can do with this champion. As FNB goes back to the Cassante, which it's been a champion with mixed reviews so far in this split.
Well, you know what? We don't have to beat about the bush. They've been generally really bad reviews for the Cassante.
Yeah.
Hasn't particularly a great win ratio thus far through the CBLOL. Now, of course, worth mentioning that this is a flex pick between both top lane and mid lane. However, Red will have to reveal that before Fluxo have to round out their composition. And of course, here they've taken the Wukong, so finally a little bit more.
Loving that.
Tried and tested for the CBLOL. Disarmis putting on the mandated Wukong game that he's going to have to perform.
Yeah, we were just questioning as if we're gonna go off the meta so many times, if we're not gonna take these most high-performing champions, we need to see some results to start backing that up, and we just didn't see that yet. So now we're going back to the Wukong, hyper-successful jungler. The Ahri, I'm not as enthused about personally for House. I've already bemoaned that last week, but the Annie was taken away, so we'll see what he can do. As we get to the second round of the bans, LeBlanc banned away by Fluxo and the Viego as well. LeBlanc is something else I might have liked to see in House's hands, but now Envy as well definitely would be a real threat on those more assassin-type picks.
Yeah, one of our large, not criticisms necessarily for Fluxo, but things that we think are holding them back is that mid lane just isn't in the greatest state for these true 1v9 style carries. We've seen the occasional Cassiopeia, but that's honestly about it. It is largely these facilitatory mid laners, your Gragases, your Annies that are there to set up for the team. And House thrived in split number 1 when he could be the solo star, the person on the Fluxo roster to take them to the next level and take them to a win.
Yeah, exactly. As we head round through the second round of the bans, a bit of a top lane focus now from Red. That Gwen being taken away, and then the Lulu as well to deny the Enchanter Zeri pairing. FNB obviously is a player who can go to the carries, has done a lot of work on the tanks as well this split. He's kind of done it all, and that kind of flexibility is so powerful in this latter stage of the draft. As the Karma, the lock-in for Jojo. We have seen this banned kind of inexplicably once so far, but definitely not the kind of premium enchanters we've gotten used to.
So this may be me reading a little too much into things, but the Karma ban that we saw was actually against Kaboom and against Lonely specifically, who was more than happy to pull out Karma top lane in previous splits. And this also could lead into Tay and their notion that Karma could go into the top lane for Fluxo, have a fairly safe laning phase up against the Cassante, make sure that you're both getting to your core items nice and early, and then pull out some spicy pick for Jojo if he has one ready for the composition that Red pull out.
Now, the Azir lock-in for Red here, we saw a bit of a foreshadowing for that from Dinkedo and Takeshi on the previous interview, talking about how Mid lane's kind of boring, it's kind of stale, but next patch, maybe we'll see the Azir, Corkis, and Mages coming back. And Envy now jumping the gun here, going straight to the Azir on this patch. We might see if the scaling mages do have more of a place than they've been given in the first couple of weeks. Rounded up with the Kha'Zix for Aegis, so I do like that we still have another kind of very explosive champion for him to pilot. Even though it's not a hard damage carry itself, it can still do a whole lot of work later.
I mean, if Aegis kills Brucey, his job is done.
That's a carry.
It's the exact goal, really, for this Kha'Zix, is to make sure that Brucey can't play League of Legends. If that's the case, then Fluxo don't have a damage threat, really, to push forward. Yes, you've got the Samus and House that are dealing burst damage in stages with their cooldowns, but as soon as your AD carry dies, that consistent DPS falls. Where for Red, they've not got one, they've got two. They've picked up Azir in the mid lane, that return to an old control mage that absolutely adores pumping out DPS. I have to comment quickly that I love the Malphite from Tay. Actually does a pretty decent job at shutting down both the Azir and the Malphite, not just with the knock-up, but also with the attack speed slow that impedes both of those hard carries.
With our rosters locked in, Hawk, let's bring you back in. What do you think about what we've seen right here? Are Red going to go 4-0? Do you think they're going to do it?
You know, Trajan, I think I'm just getting brought in to say the same thing over and over, because yesterday the CBLOL diff may have been jungle diff, but Red, they've got the guy. They have Aphelios. They gotta ban this champion, and I really do think that might just be Red's way to take it home. But lads, you're about to head onto the Rift. Have a great game, and we'll see if Red can bring it home or if Fluxo can take down the Aphelios.
Thank you very much, Hawk. It would be a sight to behold if Aphelios just lost a game at this point. That's already news in and of itself.
The bar is so low.
I know, yeah. We really just want something different to happen down there. But overall, for the side of Red, I do like that we have FNB on this. It's kind of a quote-unquote tank that can also carry by itself. It's letting FNB do everything that he's been doing so well this split, and that we're still seeing new things out of Aegis. It's not just a one-note team, this Red Canids roster, right? It's not just the Titan show. Everyone's got their time to shine. In a game like this, with so many carries, so many different types of champions, different ways to carry a game from that roster, I hope we're going to see that continue.
Pain Gaming fans, they're being put to sleep because they've had to lock in Aphelios once again. Oh, not this champ.
Oh dear.
I do want to quickly highlight, though, thank you as well to Hawk for bringing this one up, made this one pre-our game, that this is actually Frosty's first champion that isn't just Enchanter. This is playmaking for Frosty, and a different look for him, right? You'd mentioned the Lulu. You're more than happy to pilot that one so far this split. So far, or for today at the very least, it's not going to be the case. We have the Rakan locked in, an engage tool, honestly, where the team composition overall honestly lacking. You've got K'Sante Kha'Zix as your top duo, which isn't the greatest at trying to find engagements. Yes, you know, you can pick somebody off with the all-out and try and take somebody out as that assassin Kha'Zix. But the Rakan is really the only champion there that is going to be looking for engages in the truest sense of the word.
Yeah, I think that we are going to have to see Frosty, we want to see Frosty continue that playmaking potential, because he doesn't have the same option of just sitting back, buffing up his carry, and just doing kind of, you know, polymorphs onto the backline kind of stuff. He is going to have to get involved. There's no two ways about it. And this is hopefully something where we can see him start to shine on these different picks, as the support meta is also, you know, due to see a bit of a change with the nerfs to the bot side and the support role. We are hoping to see a bit more diversity, and we will start to see these support players, so many of these new exciting support players, tested in a different way.
That is when we're going to see Was step up, the Liberty support.
That is his
back
time.
on playmaking. Oh,
Yeah.
time to shout. We can dive into that one more for game number 5. But just apologise, I think we've got a couple of tech delays before we get into the match, but they've all been resolved. We're ready to load up. We are ready to go Summoner's Rift, game number 3 of the day. Live and in charge.
Go Rift fast here for game number 3. Red Canids versus Fluxo. A game that, to my mind, we could see Red solidifying their position at the top of the standings, looking just a cut above as they have been. Or we could see this Fluxo roster start to come together. We've got a blast from the past right here. A 5-man brush invade at level 1. There will be no targets officially.
Don't mind this, actually, and this already states very early on that Fluxo are going to try to play toward this bot side. Is anybody surprised by this, Trajan? Absolutely not. They locked in Malphite for the top lane. If I see anybody gank the Malphite Cassante lane that isn't just a freebie to get a quick kill on your jungler, I'm instantly flaming.
Okay, I really wish they'd done the full solo queue loop around the bot side that everyone does in their invades in their gold games, because they would have caught Titan absolutely sleeping down there. He is just walking about in that lane with no one else guarding hard jungle entrances. So Fluxo, they do not hard commit to the invade. They do get some vision. They'll spot where Aegis is going to start as he wanders down to the bot side. We aren't going to get the sneaky little first blood that my gold ranked heart hoped for.
I wonder if Disarmus gets spotted here. No. So it probably ends up getting seen. There we go. A little bit of vision. That depends whether or not they're looking. Honestly, that's a really weird ward to try and garner vision from. Aegis, you can see, clear as day, is taking the red buff. And of course, his pathing after this is going to be fairly indicative as to what he wants to do in the early stages. Normally, if a jungler paths down from here, it means they're going to clear all the way up to that top side. But if they go up toward the Raptors, skipping Krugs isn't typically what happens, and you maybe expect a level 3 gank to come through quite quickly.
Yeah, I certainly, looking at the matchups we have here, you know, Cassante into Malphite, literally Azir early on in the lane, and then, you know, there's these double sorts of enchanters. There's an angle for maybe the bot lane gank. If we're not going to bot lane, I just don't see the gank happening as Brunsey and Jojo getting very feisty on the level 2 connection. Brunsey has been putting up mondo numbers in the bot side, trying to restate his case as the new hotness in the bot lane, and there's so many challenges coming up this split.
Honestly, I'm always just intrigued by what power ranking of ADCs we have to go for, because it feels like every single team you look across, you're like, they're pretty good. Oh, you're pretty good as well. I think that for me, Brunsey and Titan, this is a very volatile ADC matchup. These two, along with I think Ninja Kiwi, are maybe our most aggressive ADCs, and then I would add Natuno to that roster as well of just AD carries that go for blood as opposed to just position that, let's say, safely for the most part, prioritizing life over anything else. And there's a different caliber of AD carry that will throw away their life if it wins them a team fight. Brunsey and Titan are on that list.
Yeah, for sure. They're also both AD carries that have been known to drop a stinker of a game every now and again. There is a potential tilting angle for both of these players where if it's not going well, we do see things start to slip a little bit. So if either side can get that early advantage, they could really start to snowball. And of course, you know, we've been talking about how hard Aphelios can carry games. We can't forget Zeri, the amount of damage that this champion can do when scaled up.
You know, I think we're going to reach a point. I've been catching a little bit of the LPL. They've started just handshaking even before games, not picking or banning Zeri. They've just gotten rid of it. Yeah. Now, I think that's what we need to see with the Aphelios. Okay, hold on.
Jojo flashes in for the chain, gets both summoners out of Titan there, who'll find a counter route, but will not get much damage. The pressure there, Jojo, the most aggressive Karma player of all time, use of that summoner.
Yeah, I think I would just like to see Titan just flash instantly there. You don't have to burn the Ghost if you insta-respect with the flash, but both some of the spells being burned, it's a win for Fluxo down on that bot side, and Disarmus working towards that level 6 mark. You expect to be able to punish that bot lane a little bit later on.
Hal's going to catch a sneaky Aegis on the wrong side of the map, and Disarmus is there to cut him off here. Envy around the corner, can't do anything about this. The lovely charm, followed up by the Wukong. It's a first blood for Fluxo.
Where are you jumping to, buddy? Thank you very much. We'll hop on right back as the bot lane's now skirmishing.
Lovely knock up onto Brunsey. Of course, the W slides into safety. Classic Zeri things, and Brunsey will get away alive. He holds on to one of his summoners, too.
Ghost burn now then by both of our carries down on that bot side. And remember, with First Blood going the way of House in the mid lane. Trajan, I know you've been a big advocate for damage Ahri. No vegan Ahris here. We at the very least expect to see a Medjai's, and we can maybe forgive an Everfrost if that's the case.
Yes, as long as there is a Medjai's, that is the key to keep me happy, as the ward well placed here by House. And, you know, it's even with the TP back in from Azir, he's just not really there in time to solve this.
Like, this is beyond the point of you don't have Cryo in the mid lane. You simply didn't have a mid laner, right? When you're going through invades like this, you really need to have your mid laner there to prevent this exact situation from unfolding. You could just sort of see there Envy. He walks up, and as soon as that charm hits, he's like, yeah, nope. You're on your own there, buddy. I'll see you later. Thank you for trying.
Yeah, Envy, Aegis reaping. Yes, love this very much. Envy sowing. Oh dear. No, hate this. How has this happened? Unbelievable. So Envy is going to have to deal with this as Aegis howled back to his side of the jungle. And we'll see if House can make use of this early gold into his pocket, accelerating this Ahri forward. Fluxo putting some vision down on the bot side, maybe looking to set up for a dragon play with the prior they might have on this next reset this will be.
I would like to see House try and be a bit aggressive. Had the blue buff, so has already been trying to push waves, orchestrate some sort of vision down on that bot side, and you can see actually triple control ward setup, one of which is about to get cleared out by Frosty. But access to this dragon is going to be fairly easy for Fluxo. And on the Ahri, at level 6, you can start to look aggressive. I would love to see trying to burn Envy's summoner spells, Envy's ulti, because when those start to go down, that's when you can start pulling in Disarmist and start trying to find kills. This Wukong's level 6 timer is so important for allowing him to gank lanes and successfully find kills, and make sure that he can get to that Divine Sundra at a juncture in the game that actually feels impactful.
Exactly. We path over to Ty right here. We see him getting the recall off, and we'll probably TP back in to grab this wave. No angle to be found by Aegis on the top side. The Malphite dealing with Grisante very, very well. We'll see if FNB can start to make his influence felt a little bit more across the map. Even on the tanks, as we said before, this guy, when he starts getting unlocked on the map with the TPs, with the rotations, he can be as much of a carry as his quote-unquote carries. Titan stepping forward aggressively, rates heavily with Brunsey and Jojo. Still fairly even on HP.
Okay then, and now we see Disarmist actually invading. First strike lost from Aegis.
He's got the level 6 as well. The flash is there, clone over the wall, flashing for himself with a second charge, and Kha'Zix just dies in the 1v1. Disarmist just straight up out jungling Aegis right now.
And they may be able to leverage this into even more. House has got push in the mid lane, able to segue this into the bot side of the map. Now pushing this wave isn't easy for Azeri, but the Karma may be able to do some good work. No TP for Envy either. He's going to push that mid wave and maybe come down. Would have liked to see him sack this mid wave to protect the bot lane.
Wants an aggressive utilization of the lead, and now he goes out, splashing in for the charm. Perfectly catches onto Titan. And I don't know if I've seen a cleaner dive this split so far, Rudude. That was sublime.
If we have, it doesn't spring to mind, and Fluxo have certainly piloted that lead that they got early on from the mid lane to great effect. Yes, we see House lose out on a wave in the mid lane, but 2 kills for that bot side of the map. A very explosive start to this game for Fluxo. Exactly what we were hoping to see from them from the start of this season.
Exactly, it's what we were hoping to see, but as we touched on the desk, we didn't really know what we were gonna see, right? We don't really know what's happening at the Fluxo camp right now, and I honestly still don't, because now they're just super hard gapping the top team in the league in the early game, using the mid jungle that has been such a point that's been underutilized by them thus far. You know, Brunsey's been trying his best, but we had questions for House and Disarmist, and now they're the ones smashing it.
And it's important to say that we didn't know the answer. Okay, Jojo.
Okay,
Mantra
Jojo.
W plus
Okay,
heal.
Jojo.
That's karma, baby.
Yeah, it stings real bad, but he's going to get away with it, and Aegis is now going to rotate to this top side. They're going to knock up onto Tay, down to half HP. Titan maybe looking to follow up, doesn't find the Calibrum, won't find the root, drops a Moonlight Vigil, and forces the ultimate trade from the Fluxo top laner. It will be plates for red.
Yeah, if Tay gets caught by that root, it means that the rest of the team can collapse, continue to chain the CC. Importantly, the Malphite still has flash, so potential survivability there a little bit higher as we continue to move through the next 5 minutes of this game. But the Disarmist here just to try and protect. It doesn't look like they're going to be able to do too much more, and I like this from Red. Leveraging a lead from that top side of the map that FNB have pretty much solo got for himself, and turning this into an advantage for Titan and FNB, making sure that they're getting gold split amongst the two, and also getting Titan out of a really bad lane.
Yeah, any lane could be Titan's lane as long as you just work hard enough, you know? They've just won bot lane, that was not going well at all. So let's grab the Heralds, we'll rotate him up top lane, we'll get him all the plates up here instead, and Titan will not go amiss, that extra gold injection for him. We'll see a replay though of that previous play down in the bot side. This absolutely stunning dive from Fluxo.
Remember, at level 3, Jojo burned the flash of Titan. It means he can't flash to dodge the charm. He can't flash to get out of Zerial, and he is just a sitting duck. Ghost all you like, but hard CC hits and it takes you down just as hard. Very nicely played by the team, by Fluxo, as they execute perfectly on the timing as Titan's flash.
Fluxo returning to the normal bot lane assignments here. Titan and Frosty got their little extra bit of gold and come back down, but you can see Brunsey still topping the charts on the Zeri. They're having to work this hard just to get Titan up to, what is that, 6th in the gold rankings right now in this game. Not where he wants to be. House won't find the charm onto Envy, who will still shift his hands to the safety of his tower. Go back to this bot lane, who does find a knock up onto Jojo, but really just not in a strong enough position to force the advantage here.
weird dichotomy there for House because he's positioned in front of Envy so that he can't E away and then realizes I'm in prime position to get shuffled back under a turret. So immediately bails quite back out of that one, preventing the escape tool there, or allowing rather the escape tool for Envy, but preventing getting 1v2 then shoving into the turret. Envy in this mid lane actually a little bit ahead of the Ahri just in terms of raw experience, but House obviously had made a numerous amount of plays down on that bot side, and the lead is very apparent for the bot lane as opposed to this mid lane where it's, you know, relatively even CS, the items as well significantly even, and there's no particular lead on either side.
Yeah, we are going to wait to see how Envy handles this Azir pick. We know that he's obviously a very proficient player on many different styles. We just haven't really seen too much of it in this split. It's only really been the Cassiopeia that has a scaling mage aspect to it that we've seen. Now the Azir coming back in ahead of the potential changes in the next patch. I want to see if Envy can leverage this, maybe get some advanced shuffles going as the chain from Jojo comes out once again, finds the route onto Aegis Kha'Zix, but he does not get charmed up by Howls. Red collapsing through to try and get the jungler out of dodge. Okay,
so look at the items quick. We've got Divine Sunderer finished with this Armus, and we've got Trinity Force for Brunsey. This is a fight that Fluxo 100% wants to take. Despite the fact that FNB has shown up, I don't think that the Cassante is enough to turn this fight in their favour, particularly since they've just burned Aegis' flash and ult.
Yeah, I mean, FNB burns the TP, gets charmed out of it by Howls as well. He still channels the recall. Fluxo get everything they need there, and Red bail out of the Dragon, still lose out tempo on the top side. Bit of a nightmare for them. And the lead will continue to extend. 1,000 in the gold department, 2 in the Drake department. Fluxo now potentially looking to get aggressive around this mid lane. Got a Malphite ult to leverage.
But they don't go for it. Looking like maybe a missed opportunity, but we are able to still find a lead overall. House finds himself under the plate down on that bot side. But that TP fail from FNB actually turns into a TP for Envy. So 2 TPs from the Red Canids expended just to catch that top wave. Now Envy puts up his own turret in this top side of the map. Has got a little bit of support from Aegis on the way. Making a bit of a statement push onto this top side. They already had a Rift Herald charge up there, so maybe thinking if Fluxo didn't respond too quickly that they could have taken the whole thing. Not going to be the case, and we see Envy rightfully back away.
I always get very different opinions about this item whenever I see it build in any scenario, Rue, but what are your thoughts on the Crown of the Shattered Queen for Envy on the Azir right here? It tends to divide opinion.
I am a big fan of this game. I think it is always situational. I'm looking at the dive. First of all, Malphite, very clear that he wants to go forward. If that synergizes with this Armis, it's going to block a lot of damage to begin with, but here you're going to see
Let's see about this.
value.
It's going to block a little bit of damage, but unfortunately, it's not going to solve the problem for Envy. It's going to try and slide to safety. He's already used the ult. The Armis commits the second charge and locks down the killing spree. Did get the flash off the Wukong, I suppose, but overall, just a little bit of an overstay from Envy. Not the best play.
The part of Crown is that you have to play exceptionally safely with it. It's not just a Banshee's Veil where spells procced. Any source of damage from any champions will take that Crown away. So it's, as an army, it's quite easy to just ult forward, use one of your charges, pop your W down. It's very small damage that you're committing to burning the shield, and then you can go forward with the leading burst afterwards. In these 5v5s, it's going to be very powerful, but in that skirmish you saw, it didn't really have too much power.
Red have 3 members in the river right here, to the 4 in the area of Fluxo, but they did commit their ults into that top lane play, did the red side, so they don't want to get too aggressive right now. Of course, there is a Herald that they'd love to pick up, but Fluxo will cede the space for now, and Red are the ones with the man advantage in that top side river. Tie on the bot side with the TP if needed. They'd love to get that tower knocked down as well.
We just get a quick glimpse there at the amount of gold garnered from turret plates, and Red Canids actually have done a better job. 8-5 on the turret plates. This is Rift Herald on the top side. It's going to fall to Red, but it looks like a flight for Fluxo afterwards feels their intention.
The way that Howls just walked through that river, almost felt like he was daring Red to try and do something about it. Just like, I'm going to walk into this blank vision with the Ahri. Is that not going to stop me? Is that not going to do anything about this? No, I guess we're fine. As they will step towards this mid lane turret, and now we've got all 10 members in the area, Rude Dude. This one could get a bit scrappy. FNB gets back to the tower. Tai goes through, past round the tower, and no one has anything to say about it. And we'll just back away. Looks like we get a lot of damage on the structure, at least.
And honestly, I think that's just a win in its own right for Fluxo. Yes, the Herald went down for Red. And they'll probably be able to turn back about as much turret onto this tier 1 as Fluxo are able to get down without it. We've seen so far that mid lane is sort of that area that neither side is willing to concede, as I think is generally agreed upon. by most teams when trying to play out these strategic games. For Fluxo, this lead, not particularly grown. Red did a great job at trying to secure themselves turrets early on. And they've actually done, like I say, pretty good job at keeping that gold even. Take a look at the XP on the side as well. Envy doing a great job at keeping himself farmed despite that early death.
Exactly, is scaling up as he needs to be, working towards that second item on the Azir. We could start to see those auto attacks really start to hurt if he's allowed to actually throw a few of them out. How's on the other side, still matching him at the top of that XP graph. Getting a lot done in his own lane, in the top and bot side. Yes, it is still an Everfrost Diary, and I've not seen, you know, a Dark Seal bot yet, but I'll give him time.
Not too much time though. Gonna need to get those stacks fairly soon. All outed back onto the other side of this turret, and FNB I think will be able to use that to limp away. Don't want to concede too much time if they're chasing a Cassante through the entire bot lane. Odds are that they get shifted on into the mid lane and start to lose that turret, especially with Herald in the pocket of Aegis, who was quietly, right, after that early game flub, reached his second item spike. The Eclipse finished up the Umbral Glaive as well in back pocket to clear out vision a little bit easier. Aegis is no slouch at this stage in the game.
100%, and you know, it was Desamus, one of the previous Kazakhs we saw. We weren't too impressed with it, but now Aegis gets stuck in on the top lane, walks in for charm by House, and uses the ultimate charms to fire back a fair bit of damage himself. Respect to Envy's Azir, but this has lost the mid lane turret as Fluxo's rest of their 4 members collabing in that lane to get this job done. There's a dragon spawning on the backside as well, Reed. Aegis just committed a lot there.
A lot of HP, I'd say, is the main takeaway. Fluxo should be able to just head on down to this, straight pick it up for themselves, put themselves on a soul point. This is a turret going down for FNB. Remember, no all out for the Cassante. TP ready if they want to contest, but doesn't look like that's the case for Red. We may get Trajan. Our very first actual Rift Herald to take down a turret.
Is he going to be allowed to do it? The charm?
Yeah.
Come on, House, give it to us. Please, no. The Herald's given up. The Herald's been completely charmed up. Oh, no. Fluxo just take it down. I mean, props to them. The Tide goes in, commits, only fires onto the Rakan right though. They do have the CC to get that burst through. Infernum splashes across Fluxo, but won't deal too much pain. And overall, it's just the one pick. Fluxo completely stifled that Herald.
It is pain and misery there for the Red Canids. Thought that they'd be able to use that Rift Herald to take down the tier 1 turret, and it's disappointing for us as well, Trajan. You'll hear very frequently in the background, for those of you unaware, every single time there's a Rift Herald using CBLOL, the crowd jeer up and try and get excited for the crash, as Aegis is now caught out. Guilty.
Again, in the top side of the jungle, it's not been very kind to Aegis in this game, as Titan running interference for his jungler. Bit of a role reversal there as Jojo doesn't quite get the chain. Again, the Ghost and the Flash, and the white flag goes up from Titan. He knows he's taking the nail there.
Yeah, I think that time, in fairness, had to burn the Ghost because Brunsey also burned Ghost towards him, so I'll give him less grief for that one, but both summon spells burned by the Aphelios once again. Keep your eye on Ty's ultimate cooldown timer, because as soon as that thing comes back up, Aphelios is a sitting duck. You are waiting for the Malphite to jump on top of this Aphelios, and he's going to have next to no answer for it. Trying to use Gale Force to dodge Malphite ult is nigh on impossible because there's still a channel, there's still an amount of time that you need to travel the distance as well that the Gale Force takes you. It's not a blink like a flash, it's not a guaranteed escape.
The only one we've seen achieve it so far is IU on that Lucian in the Furia game. We saw Gale Force away from a Malphite ult, but this guy's a little bit cracked, I must admit. So FNB is going to walk into the Samus, and Hal's going to give him a fair amount of space to operate in this bot side jungle. You really haven't seen anything out of the red top laner just yet. Hasn't really been allowed to get involved in any kind of team play.
I have to give credit to the Red Canids. They're 0-6, but doing a very good job at getting gold.
TP's in, Titan is available without the flash. He's walking towards him, he's just been aggressed on. The rest of Red hung him out to try and kill a Malphite. They will find the kill, and the Azir shuffle will disengage the fight, but I'm not sure about that trade. ADC for Malphite?
And it's looking like Baron is Fluxo's initial intention. Trying to take this might be tricky. Envy is still alive, still has teleport, and FNB can come back to this fight with full HP. It looks like they're playing, though, for a little bit of a bait. Great blue orb there from Envy. Spots it out. They know that they don't have to face check this, and Frosty just playing on the backside of this wall. Make sure that if he steps forward, he knows he's going into safety as opposed to going into danger.
Red not losing their heads there as we go back towards this replay. A deep committal, and Red were so aware of it, they really tried to stop it.
Actually, really would have liked Ty just to ulti the 4-man clump to the on, because Team Titan Titan's dead, right? If you use that ulti to maybe take up or pick up all 4 of these members of Red, you can make that play look a lot better for yourself, and then also try and loop out to save you. If you die for the 4-man ulti, it's very much worthwhile. So a little bit there for Ty of a missed execution. Nevertheless, taking down the AD carry as Fluxo is a big win for yourself, and they did get to establish a decent amount of vision in this topside jungle. To go back to it though, we look at that gold lead, Trajan. Dead even. 1 to 7 in the kills. Yes, Fluxo have some objectives, but as soon as this fight around the soul in 1 minute 30 happens, Red are going to be on parity. There's 2 items in the mid lane, 2 items for the AD carry, and importantly as well for FNB, he's reached that second item, actually has a lead over Ty.
Certainly has felt like Fluxo have been almost entirely in control of this game, but Red have been slowly eking that gold back. The mark of a very talented roster that can pick up all the gold available to them on the map, not losing waves where they shouldn't, not giving away gold where they shouldn't. And that is, as you say, going to put them in a comfortable position for the all-important Hextech Soul fight in 60 seconds. Now, I'm looking for important summoners for Red. They are going to have Flashback up for Titan and the Ghost. They won't have it for Envy. But really, it has to be all about getting that Aphelios dead. You know, the Azir has 2 items now, but it just doesn't hit like an Aphelios does in the mid-game.
I want to take this moment here before the Drake spawns to highlight Disarmus. Actually had a stellar performance so far today, acting as that bridge jungler. 100% kill participation is not just where the action is, but is the action himself. Brings the fight wherever he goes, and has been a part of every single kill that Fluxo have acquired for themselves. Generally very stellar job between that and the triple objectives of the Dragons.
NB on the flank by House will be pushed back out to his team as Fluxo are taking up that aggressive positioning in the river brush, trying to find an angle, trying to find a pick to avoid a potential flip, avoid a dangerous 5 versus 5. They'd love to avoid that kind of variance when they are set up to potentially knock down our first place team right now, and a Fluxo roster that is still struggling to find their feet in this second split. They'd love to get a big ticket win like that under their belt. The TPs are committed. The battle lines are being drawn. Let's see who pulls the trigger.
Top side of the river for Fluxo. They have inside track on mid lane, which has already been pushed. Ty looking for a flank. Dragon to 5k.
Maybe going for the flip. Disarmus, the reset comes through, and Red have seeded the ground in the pit. Aegis, remember, does have the leap to get in if he wants it. Tay comes around the corner. The zoning potential is going to be massive. House in the flank, but he gets caught up. Goes Golden to buy some time. Into the pit goes Aegis. Knock upon the jungler, and Wukong finds the soul. It's mid for jungle, plus the dragon for Fluxo. Can they win the 4v4? The carry's alive for Red. Titan firing away. They find one. Both supports drop. Gruncy as well. Puckering away with the burst fires. Envy doesn't find the shuffle. And Fluxo, you've got what you wanted. You've got that soul. You can just walk away.
Look at the damage numbers on the bottom of your screen. Titan, 4,500 damage. Envy, 2,500 himself. Only a 2 for 2 though, and the gold once again stays fairly even. The big win goes to Fluxo, and you have to credit them for how they played out the top side of this fight. Yes, of course, the Ahri dies on the front line, but as soon as Aegis jumps into that pit, all attention is turned to taking out the bug before he can smite away the dragon. And then in the follow-up, it is that 2 for 2 that ends up coming down. A double kill, strangely enough, for Ty. But nevertheless, with the soul at their backs, Fluxo come away the victors of that fight.
These flanks by Fluxo are really spinning the heads of Red in these fights as another catch comes through. This time it's Frosty on the Rakan. Not able to have the impact we've seen in previous games. 0-4-3 right now. And Fluxo are mainly feel confident to just start up the Baron, just force the fight, get stuck in, end this game, take the win versus the first place squad. Diving forward again, trying to find another catch, but they will not be given one. And it's still a 4 versus 5 if they want to force it.
Hextech goes on to every single member of your team, and when everybody is chaining that lightning, the slows become unbearable. Both Envy and FNB struggling to get their way out of there. And remember, no support, so vision into this pit, not particularly easy for Aegis. But he's going to have those void spikes evolved already, and Hal's on a flank.
But once again, they get the CC. Beautiful onto Aegis. The man has no counterplay. Tays over the wall. He used the ultimate. He's given his life. Will it be enough as again House flashes away from the shuffle attempt from Envy? Red have a path in here and still got the 4 versus 4. Baron is taken by the Disarmus. Jojo on the side will be caught out. Fluxo again. It's a relatively even fight, but the big objective goes their way.
And I think they'll be happy with this one as well. They've been using the Hextech Soul efficiently. They're going to hope to use this Baron efficiently as well. 3 turrets outside of the base still stand strong for the Red Canids. The Fluxo are going to hope to try and take those down. Fully assert this Baron to secure themselves some gold. Get them that advantage back in the game. It's slowly edging forward. 1,500 gold now their lead. And that is the gold that you get from taking a Baron buff.
Now, we've seen a lot of big-ticket objectives go in the favor of Fluxo. They've got the Hextech Soul, they've got the Baron, but even so, you know, they had the Soul in that fight, and these fights are still, they're a little close to my comfort, I'll be honest, Rude Dude. It's pretty tough for Fluxo to get a big team fight win. They're going to have to find one at some point to actually break this game, break the base. So it's still very much a path back in for Red. Fluxo, Fluxo is caught a little bit in the mid lane, but Aegis just gets blasted back out of the 2v4. The Samus finishes it off, just gets chommed up, and just goes golden in the nick of time. Calibrum barely mistimed by Titan, and now Fluxo can commit to the rest of this fight. Tay looking for an angle, looking for a target, wants to smash down on anybody, but will hold it for now. The Baron buff crashes through the mid lane, they're onto the inhib. Tao still diving forward, 3 versus 5. And Fluxo are breaking the base open.
They can go for more here. They still have Unstoppable, or they still have the Malphite ulti. Titan has no flash. Baron at their backs, and Bruncy ready to go. This could be the game.
With the Malphite ult, they get that one critical pick, and it could just be over as the tower goes lower. In goes FMB, finds the knockback, but he's burning down in the front line. They can't quite kill him, though. Titan's still full HP. The one-man carry by himself. Can he hold the line in front of the Nexus? This Argus coming back in for support. Members spawning off the fountain from Red. Still a 4 versus 5 for 10 seconds. Nexus exposed. Titan gets aggression on. FMB falls, and this is it. Fluxo enter the flow state and will knock down our lossless Red.
Nobody goes undefeated in CBLOL for long. 3-1 now for the Red Canids. Fluxo. Tales of their team fighting, tales of their glory had been told to us. The scrim books were rife, but finally we get to see it out on stage. A beautiful game from Fluxo. And Trajan, you've asked for one fight so that they could find a lead. How about they give you the whole game?
No, we just run it down that lane, pick after pick, kill after kill, and Fluxo put almost no feet wrong that entire game. Take a well-deserved bow, fellows. What a performance by them. And honestly, all this has done is raise even more questions. Now they could just beat Red. They could also just lose to our low teams, or they could beat Red. Who knows what's going on? Hawk, do you have any ideas?
Oh my word. You know, you never really know what's going to happen here in the CBLOL. Truly, anyone can beat anyone. We come out of yesterday's game talking about how Fluxo looks like they're riding the struggle bus. We don't know what to expect from them. They're looking scattered, disorganized, and now we can pull up the highlights to them knocking off now our last undefeated team in the CBLOL. There are none left. And Rude Dude, they did it in dominant fashion.
They really did. The reason that we were saying we don't know what's going on with them is because we expect performances like this. It's because we are used to these this 5-man being able to give us highlight performance after highlight performance. A reminder for those that are joining us for split number 2. During split 1, Fluxo looked like the best team in the CBLOL, I would say from weeks 3 through to about week 7, then completely flubbed in playoffs and ended 6th. 6th was not a valuable representation of how highly we value these players, and I think this game is a much better feature. The on or off status of Fluxo, just a really key point, because they always show up in weird times.
They do. They do. Just, it feels like they show up whenever they want. One day they're off, the next day they're on. But today, most certainly on. Bruncy, I want to bring up this player's name as well as Disami's, because Bruncy's been having a great split so far, even throughout the struggles. Does not get the Aphelios first pick away from him, to go for the Zeri instead. And Disami's on the Wukong, a player that we have criticized, I think has not lived up to our expectations so far this split. Both of them stepping up big time in this game to pull Fluxo to a win. Yeah, so what do you make of these individual performances?
I mean,
oh, sorry, Trajan. Oh my word!
I'll go. No,
I'm
I'll
getting
go get
ahead
him.
of myself.
I'll call him in. That's fine. These individual performances, I love that you brought up Brunsty, because this is a game where, similar to Ray, after week 1, we were wondering, is it all on the AD carry? Does Titan have to do everything? Does Brunsty have to do everything? The answer is a resounding no. He did his job, absolutely, but it was House and Disamis and even Tay in those critical fights pulling their weight and setting him up for success, making sure that the Zeri had room to play the game. So Fluxo gave us a much more well-rounded performance again that ended up plugging a lot of the holes that we saw from them. So it's a very encouraging maneuver from Fluxo to be able to leverage the skills and the names that they have properly in this game.
Yeah, most certainly. I mean, it's the other thing I want to point out about this game. Aphelios, it lost. It's now 11-3 in the CBLOL. It did not win this game. Rude Dude, is the secret as we roll the tape just to dive bot 24/7?
It might be pick Malphite. I think that Malphite is a little too good at trying to take down Aphelios. I think that this play is honestly very indicative of how well Fluxo can play as a team when they have the time. Because that flash time, if you take a look at Titan on the left-hand side, or at the bottom of your screen right here, it is so close to just being ready so that he could have escaped this dive or potentially dodged a little bit of CC. There are so many tools that Fluxo were piloting through the early stages of the game and that they were keeping track of to find that advantage. And when you pick up an Aphelios, if you take them out in the early stages of the game, you slow down that scaling, but you need something more permanent. You need something that is going to come out from the top lane, wreck it every single time. And you saw Ty zoning the thing that the fight around the Nexus at the end was such a good show of what the Malphite does.
Most certainly. And I love the fist bump from Howes. It was fist bumping, I think, to Sami's after that play. You know, the team clearly in high spirits. They were feeling good about it. And you mentioned once the Aphelios gets behind, it can be a little bit difficult for it to have those same montage plays that we've been so accustomed to, as we can maybe see at our Soul fight, which is going to be our second highlighted replay of the game. Because Trajan, this was a bit touch and go, but Fluxo, they get it done in the end.
Yeah, it's so important that Howls just completely distracts the entirety of Red. They completely bum rush him in that bot try, and Aegis has to go into the pit on his own versus a Malphite who just R-clicks him and makes it impossible for him to win that smite fight. You know, we were worried if it's going to come down to a flip, but the multiple angles that Fluxo were attacking that fight from, with Howls distracting the team, with Ty focusing on the jungler, with the rest of them zoning through the river, they just approached that fight really well, and they turned a flip into an unplayable scenario for Aegis by just shutting all of the doors for him. So I love the way that Fluxo played that fight. I love the way they leveraged all of the tools they had. Even I can't be mad about the Ahri in that game. Yes, we didn't have a Medjai's, but you got great value out of it. What can I say?
Look, when Ahri's good, it's good. I know we love Howes as our big carry, but look at that. Third most damage in the game nonetheless. Still a spectacular performance from the mid laner of Fluxo. Trajan, I love that you highlighted the mid jungle of this team stepping up, because that did feel like we were waiting for that moment, because I know we were both so high on Howls and Asami's last split, and seeing them play well this game might just be a sign of things to come. And we saw in that replay as well, the fact that Titan tried to pop off with the Inferno, but couldn't just quite do it because of the attention thrown towards him early. The Fluxo game plan, Rude Dude, it came to fruition, and they were able to take a win.
Yeah, and if we contrast particularly this Wukong damage from Disamis this game versus Flawless in game number one, this game was much shorter, right? Like that was less time to do damage in this game, but you can see Wukong for Disamis was a much better pick. Has clearly, you know, put that time in and made sure that he's making the productive or proactive moves on the map at the right time and finding those kills and finding himself rightfully an MVP and a fire extinguisher.
Because, well, you know what? He was extinguishing Aegis, I think, in that game. A player that we've not really said his name much in the post game was red hot. We were saying he was the X factor for Red so far this split. And Samis was not just a playmaker for his team in the fights, orchestrating the dives and things of that nature, but Aegis got blasted.
Yeah, from minute one, right? The evade in that just was on vision, didn't have his mid laner ready to rotate to help. He just got blasted from the very get-go. And this was something that we'd seen kind of the opposite happen to the Samus, right? We've seen him play the Kazakhs and just get nothing done and just not really have an impact. And we were wondering why he's not playing Wukong when it's never being banned against him. And then he picked it up, and he did this. And Aegis is someone who we were super high on. We had seen different styles come out of him. I honestly maybe think that the Kindred might have been a better shot here, because then it makes Malphite not really an option. But, you know, who can say? We'll look at the draft in more detail. But it is uncharacteristic seeing Aegis get this gap in the jungle matchup, getting caught in the wrong place, getting caught in his own jungle and dying to rotations. It's very much not what we expect from this guy, and I don't think it's going to become a common thing, but Desamas can definitely hold his head up high after a performance like that.
One could even say maybe it's the CBLOL diff where our junglers just get a little lost in the sauce sometimes. Who knows? But definitely Desamas, I mean, absolutely popped off that game. Very well deserved MVP performance. We are going to go to our quick break between games. We're more than halfway through the day, but Trajan and Rude, I will see you one more time for Game 5. We are going to bring Yeso and RMC back, and I know earlier I was so desperately wishing Yeso was by my side, perhaps.
Want him
But
here.
we got Los Grandes and Furia queued up next. Don't go anywhere.